Hey guys, so today I have for you the first in my cookbook review series that I talked about doing in my cookbook collection video. So my purpose for doing this series is I was going through my cookbook collection and I realized that there were a lot of books that I hadn't actually cooked anything out of. So I wanted to get use out of the books that I bought and decided that I would start cooking from them and then do reviews on them, because I like to see reviews on cookbooks before I buy them. That way I know that they would be something that I would be interested in actually using. I don't like to buy books that I don't know what's in them, because then I don't get much use out of them if the recipes in them aren't anything that I would ever eat. So for each book in this series, I plan on cooking from just exclusively that book for at least 2 weeks, possibly 3, depending on the amount of recipes, or more, you know, if it's a really big cookbook. I plan to cook at least 8 to 10 recipes out of it, if not more. One of the other stipulations I set for myself is that if I have cooked out of the cookbook before, to not cook any of the recipes that I've already made. So I would be cooking all brand new recipes and then give you my review on it. I would take pictures of all the food, and then I would just share with you my thoughts on the cookbook, whether I would recommend it, who I think it's good for, that kind of thing. So the first cookbook I have today is the Fast and Fresh Vegan by Amanda Grant. And this is quick, delicious, and creative recipes to nourish aspiring and devoted vegans. So this, I didn't go in any particular order out of my stash. I just grabbed the first one that was, you know, in the first row of cookbooks. So this was the first one. So I hadn't actually cooked out of this cookbook before starting this project. So these were all brand new to me. I'll just go through some of the things about the cookbook. So there aren't any actual pictures in the book. I know that some people don't like to buy cookbooks that don't have pictures in them, but I don't actually mind. When I'm reading the recipe, they sound like they would be good. I don't necessarily need a picture to tell me that it's going to look good, because I can sort of picture things in my mind. So there's no pictures in this book, know that. And actually the pictures on the front don't actually relate to any of the recipes in the book, which I find kind of odd. I went through and I checked all of the recipes and none of them, there was no like corn and pepper kebabs, there was no rice with chickpeas. Like, these must just be stock photos or something like that, because none of the pictures on here, the only place where there are pictures, relate to the book in any way. So most of the recipes in this book can be made in 30 minutes or less. The cook and prep times are listed on each of the recipes, and they also list the serving size. Most of them can be made in a relatively short amount of time. There are a few that are a little bit longer, 45 minutes to an hour, but nothing, I don't think there's anything in here that would take you longer than an hour. Very little use of soy in this cookbook, so soy sauce or tofu. I could only find one recipe where it included either tofu or soy sauce, so if that is a concern to you, know that there aren't a lot of recipes with soy in here. And there's also no mock meat recipes, so you won't find any seitan, anything like that. So all of these are pretty much fresh, soy-free. Most of these recipes are actually too gluten-free, seemingly by accident, just because they use so many fresh ingredients. And the ones that aren't gluten-free are like the ones with pasta, or if there's a soy sauce recipe in it, they can just be substituted out for a gluten-free pasta or tamari. So all of the recipes in here are fresh. The title of the book suggests it, so you'll find all pretty much vegetables with beans and rice and that kind of thing. Pretty much everything in here. You won't find anything packaged in here at all. And so let's see. So it focuses mostly on fresh veggies and grains. Does use rice. Some of the recipes do use rice and pasta as a base, quite a bit, so to get it, you know, more hearty. And what I also like about this cookbook is it does include the nutritional value for each of the recipes down here at the bottom of each recipe. So calories, protein, fat, carbohydrates, fiber, calories from fats, and then it'll even tell you what's an excellent source of vitamins. So this one actually that I've opened it up to, roasted vegetables, couscous and lemon pepper oil, is an excellent source of vitamin A and C and a good source of vitamin E. So it tells you which vitamins it is high in, which I really like. So then one other thing I noticed while I was going through it is that some of the directions seem incomplete. They're either missing steps or what to do with a specific ingredient, or are just generally unclear. But if you cook regularly, you should be able to figure out where the ingredients go in the step, or you know, where it's incomplete, you could be able to figure it out. That's just one of the things. It just seems like it was edited maybe kind of quickly because some of the directions seem incomplete. So now I'm going to get into the review of the actual recipes that I cooked, and I will include pictures of each one. Granted, some of them I took on my iPhone and they're not the best quality. I'm not a professional food blogger or anything like that. So the pictures I've got are the best that I could do. I'm trying to get better with my picture taking and stuff like that. So as the weeks progress, the pictures might start to get better, but for this one, they're generally not the best. So I'm going to talk about them in the order that I made them. The first one that I made was a tomato and basil risotto. So, and I wrote some notes for each one that I went through, and this one was fast. It didn't take very long at all. It was gluten-free. It's definitely fresh. It just consists of tomatoes, vegetable stock, shallots, rice, and basil. And I gave it a 5 out of 5 in flavor. I really liked it, and it was very filling. Even though I made the portion sizes pretty small, it is filling because of the rice, but I really liked it. It was fresh, it was delicious, and that's really all that you can ask for. So the next one I made was rich mushroom sauce with tagliatelle. So the notes I wrote down for this one are, it would be gluten-free if you used a gluten-free pasta. There's not as much substance in this one because it's pretty much just pasta and chopped mushrooms. So it's not as filling as like the risotto was. Even it was just as filling, but there just isn't as much substance. I like pastas with a lot of like stuff in them, like sausage or mushrooms, but these ones were actually chopped up pretty small, so the mushrooms, it didn't feel like you were eating a lot. I just gave this one a 3 out of 5. It was good, but it wasn't my favorite of the ones that I had made. So the next one I made was rich mushrooms on toast with truffle oil. This one was just sauteed mushrooms on like a crostini. I didn't actually use the truffle oil. I just used really good olive oil to sprinkle on top. This one was really good. It was quick. This makes a good side dish to like a pasta or something, or an appetizer. And I gave this one 5 out of 5. I really like this one. This was dried porcini mushrooms, portobello mushrooms, white mushrooms, garlic bread, and then the oil drizzled on top. So then the next one I made was roasted garlic polenta with sauteed tomatoes, and this one was delicious, let me tell you. I've really come to like polenta. I never ate it before I went vegan, and I've made it a lot since I went vegan. It's really good. This one was a little bit on the longer side. This one took about an hour because the polenta can take a little while. This was definitely fresh and amazing. The roasted, well, it also takes a while because you have to roast the garlic ahead of time. But yeah, this one just consists of garlic, the polenta, and then you sort of make a stew of mixed cherry tomatoes. I took a picture of the giant bowl of cherry tomatoes that I used because it was like 4.5 cups. It's a lot of cherry tomatoes, but when you make a tomato sauce out of the cherry tomatoes, the sauce that gets made out of them is so delicious. I just love cherry tomatoes. I'm not a big fan of like full-size tomatoes for some reason, but cherry tomatoes, they just have like a great flavor, and especially when you make them into a sauce, they're just so good. So that one I really recommend, is the roasted garlic polenta with sauteed tomatoes. Really good. I gave that one a 5 out of 5. So then I also made that same night sponge cake with strawberries and lemon balm. I didn't actually use lemon balm either. Some of these things I couldn't find in the store, so I just either left them out or made a substitution, but this one I just left out. This one was just sort of okay. I've made better cakes than this one. I don't know what caused it to not be the texture that sponge cake is supposed to be, but this one, I think the problem might have been is I didn't have self-rising flour, and I couldn't actually find it for some reason. So I looked up a recipe online. This one calls for self-rising flour. So I looked up the recipe online on how to make my own self-rising flour. That might have been the issue. I'm not totally sure. I might have had better success with this if I had actually had a prepared self-rising flour. I don't know. But this one, it does taste better after it's been refrigerated, and like the next day it tastes better when the flavors have had time to mingle. So this one is just a cake. It's a sponge, well, it's supposed to be a sponge cake with a layer of strawberries and strawberry jam in between the cake. So you cut the cake in half after it's done, and then you layer strawberry jam and strawberries in it. And it does taste better the next day, like after that the flavors have sort of had time to mingle and combine. But this one was just okay. I've made better cakes, but I wouldn't make it again. This one I gave a 3 out of 5. The next one I made is spring vegetables with saffron basmati rice, and my husband actually really liked this one. He keeps asking me to make it again. So this one is spring onions, carrots, leeks, zucchini, and then saffron broth. So you mix the saffron in and it becomes sort of like a nice saffrony broth, and then you pour that over basmati rice. And this one was actually really good too. This was gluten-free, rich and delicious. It was actually my first time cooking with leeks. I had never actually cooked a leek before, and I really like them. I've cooked them again since then, but they're actually really good. This one I gave 5 out of 5. My husband really liked this one. He has a thing for saffron. So if you like saffron, this one's definitely really good. It had a nice rich flavor because of the saffron, and even though it was just all vegetables, there was no like tofu or any other kind of mock protein in it. It was really filling, and it was just really delicious. So that one was good, 5 out of 5. The next one I made was a roasted garlic and walnut linguine, and this was my least favorite out of the recipes that I made just because there was pretty much nothing to this. It pretty much was just pasta with roasted garlic and walnuts mixed in, which kind of like the other pasta I made with the mushrooms and tagliatelle, it's just not enough substance to make you feel like you're eating enough. You probably are eating enough, it just doesn't feel like it. So this one could be gluten-free with gluten-free pasta. This also wasn't saucy enough. Like usually when I eat pasta, I like it to be, you know, sort of like wet and saucy. I don't know. That's just me. But I gave this one a 2 out of 5. I wouldn't make it again. I didn't really like it, so not. And the picture I've also got, it pretty much just looks like pasta. It doesn't look like there's anything else in it. So the next two I made together were the puree of beans and potatoes with olive oil and the Mediterranean galette. So I made these together. So the puree of potatoes and beans was just cannellini beans and potatoes mixed in with garlic and olive oil and a little pinch of cayenne and lemon juice. That one was really good. It was just a nice side dish to the Mediterranean galette that I made, which is puff pastry with zucchini, red pepper, portobello, and then there was like a tapenade on the bottom, sort of as like the sauce. I just used a olive tapenade that I found at the store. I really like green olive tapenades, so that's what I used. And then it's baked and then sprinkled over top with mushrooms. So the puree of beans and potatoes is definitely gluten-free. I actually found it better the next day as well. Some of the stuff is better the next day, like once it has time to sit. You can't really taste the beans in it, so if you're trying to get your kids to eat beans or something, definitely throw them in like mashed potatoes, and you can't even tell that the beans are in there. So this would be good for kids. So I gave that one a 4 out of 5. I probably just needed a little bit more flavor for me. I might not have added enough seasonings or anything like that, but that one was good. The Mediterranean galette was delicious, and you could definitely change the toppings too. You can customize the vegetables that you want on it and the tapenade, so you can make it different every time you make it. So I gave that one a 5 out of 5. I really like that one. I just really like puff pastry in general. Just is good. So those were the recipes that I made out of the Fast and Fresh Vegan Cookbook. I would recommend this cookbook. There are a lot of other recipes in here that I wanted to try that I just didn't get a chance to. I can name a few. Vegetables in a spicy chickpea batter, fried tomato toasts, chili and cilantro corn fritters with tomato sauce, tomato and pine nut linguine with caramelized lemon, sounds really good, Thai noodles with chili and lemongrass dressing, caramelized fennel and shallot risotto. So there's a lot of really good fast, fresh recipes in here, as the name suggests, fresh and fast, yes. But anyway, I really like this cookbook. I would suggest that you go out and pick this one up. You can definitely, it retails for $15.95, but you can definitely probably find it on Amazon for like $11 or $12. I find that Amazon is the best place to buy cookbooks because the price for them generally is lower than you'll find in the bookstore. So I would suggest this one. If you guys decide to pick it up, let me know if you make anything out of it, how you feel about it. So then I also decided that since I'm only going to be doing these every 2 or 3 weeks depending on the cookbook, that I would also throw in sort of a review for a vegan food product that I've tried or found that's new or is new to me. So the one that I decided to do today is actually on the Earth Balance mac and cheeses, both the original cheddar flavor and then the white cheddar. I heard that they were coming out with these a couple of months ago, and usually it takes a while for them to show up, like for new stuff to show up in my grocery store. Like we didn't have the Earth Balance Cheez-Its for a while. So when I found these in the grocery store, I picked a box of one each up because I really wanted to try them, because I remember I used to really love the Kraft macaroni and cheese, which is totally disgusting, but I used to eat that a lot as a kid, and I sort of expected it to be the same. So I've got a picture for both of these. I'll throw those up on the screen as I'm talking. So the cheddar was the one that I made first, which reminded me the most of the Kraft mac and cheese because it's yellow. I sort of feel the same way about both of these. They're really good once you first make them. They taste pretty close to the Kraft macaroni and cheese that I used to eat. When they're hot, they're really good. The first couple of bites are just they're really good. But as soon as they start to cool down, they take on like a weirder flavor. I can't even really describe what it is, but as I'm eating it, like I just get the sensation that I just want to stop. I don't know what it is about it, but there's something about the flavor as it cools down, it becomes a little bit less appealing. And I've seen some other people say that they're not that crazy about it, and I don't know if it's for the same reason that I'm not crazy about it, but first couple of bites are really good if you can get it right out of the pot when it's fresh. The first couple of bites, delicious, but once it starts to cool down, it's not anymore. I find that the portion size of these for an adult is really, like, I can eat, at least I tried to eat each entire box by itself, which is not a good idea, but I didn't finish each of these because my husband wasn't interested in trying them, so I sort of was stuck eating them by myself. So I tried to eat the entire box by myself each time, which wasn't a good idea, which might also have been it. It might have just been too much for my stomach, but I don't know that I don't think I would buy these again. I make my own mac and cheese that I like, that's cashew based, and it's really good. I'll probably talk about that at some point, but yeah, I wouldn't suggest these mac and cheeses. Earth Balance makes a lot of other really great stuff, but these mac and cheeses were just sort of a miss for me. So if you've been interested in trying those or had wondered about anybody's experience with them, there was mine. So I hope you liked my vegan cookbook review and also my short vegan food review. If you have any suggestions for foods that you want to know more about, let me know, and I could maybe pick something up and try it for you or anything like that. But if you've got any questions or suggestions, just let me know, and I will see you in a couple of weeks for another cookbook review. Thanks. Bye.